have any ideas for a black-white planeswalker that will make its way into Legacy? We wanted to cost 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 white, just 3 mana.
All right.
Let us hear your idea. Tweet at SCG Live and GFabs5 and Matthias MTG. All right, so Costa will...
MTG Matthias.
MTG Matthias.
Other order.
Other order. Who do you think the other guy is if they tweet at that guy?
I don't know. I don't know if he exists.
You don't know? I think to cover your bases, you should get
just
both.
register all and all the misspellings of it.
All the misspellings.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like when you go to like YouTube.com and
yeah,
if
you misspell YouTube, it's still going to bring you to YouTube. They've bought every misspelling of it.
Yeah, and if we were smart, we would have brought all those misspellings. If we could go back in time, you know?
We would have bought them, then we'd have to sell them to YouTube.
Yeah, and you know what's pretty funny about talking to Magic players about going back in time? Everyone's like, yo, if you talk to a normal person, if I could go back in time, I would like prevent this war, or I would like, you know, buy stock in the internet. Everyone who plays Magic is like, yeah, I would have held on to my underground seas. I wouldn't have sold my Black Lotus for $300. You know, that's what the Magic players care about. So, because dual lands at one point were $5. They were literally $5.
Mm-hmm.
It's like insane.
I remember when I started playing, they were 20.
20.
Volcanics were 20s.
Okay, wow, $20. That's just still a really good deal for $20 volcanic islands.
Yeah, it's a really good deal. You know, I saw a trade happen of a volcanic island for a Coca show. You know, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty fair trade, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are underway. Remember, this is game 2.
Yep.
Robert Orzulak's on the play, but he is down a game.
All right, so they are playing the blue-white-red Delver mirror match. So Robert will lead off with a volcanic island. Now remember, neither player has access to Stifle. Sometimes you see Stifle in these decks, sometimes you don't.
Right, so they don't know whether the opponent is playing Stifle, which does matter.
Exactly. So it looks like Robert's going to lead off with a Ponder here. Ponder's a really powerful card.
Yep. So
not as good as Brainstorm, but still super powerful.
His Ponder's going to see Daze, Force of Will, and Umezawa's Jite. In the dark, how much do you like cards like Jite in your opener?
I don't really like it a lot, to be honest. Especially Jite sometimes is not very good in certain matchups. Against Elves, it's awesome. But
it's the card against Elves.
Yeah, against Sneak and Show, it's a mulligan.
Right.
So lots of people just have their Jite, in their sideboard sometimes. They only care about the Batter Skull and maybe like a Sword of Fire Ice.
So if you looked across and saw Matt Costa across from you and then figure he's probably either on Delver or Stoneblade, now do you like Jite?
I mean, it's fine, you know. Costa could also be on Rug Delver. He used to play Rug Delver a lot.
Yeah. So Costa starts out with a turn 1 Delver of Secrets. It's going to survive. For now, there are a pair of Force of Wills in Robert's hand, so we're not sure how long the Delver is for this world.
All right, so Robert will go fetch up a Tundra. Now remember, Costa's trying to go back-to-back here. He did win the Standard Open this morning with his Jund deck, and now he's playing blue-white-red, so he's pretty much giving every color a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He tried...
Blue, white, red, black. Yeah, he's got all the bases covered.
All the bases covered. All right, so there's Source of Plowshare on the Delver. That's going to resolve. And I believe Robert had a second Ponder in hand.
He does have a second Ponder. He has Ponder, Force of Will, Swords to Plowshares, another land, and then an unknown.
I think maybe the unknown might be a Spell Pierce. So he just passes the turn, leaving up that volcanic island. And Costa's going to go with a Ponder.
Yeah, so this is, I think, one of the things you were saying is that there's more 1-mana removal than 1-mana creatures in these decks. So this is a little more of a long game than you'd expect.
Exactly.
Because of that, what becomes important? Are they looking for lands? Are they looking for stone forges?
I think the most important card in this matchup is True Name Nemesis by a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you play it out right away, or do you have to protect your True Name Nemesis?
I mean, it depends. If you know what your opponent has in his hand, if you think they're out of resources, you go for the True Name Nemesis and you hope it resolves. And most likely, you're going to win that game on the base of True Name Nemesis.
So True Name Nemesis does essentially have hexproof, right?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has a lot going for itself. I mean, even Stoneforge Mystic is great, but sometimes the Stoneforge Mystic dies and you're left with the Batter Skull in hand because it does cost 5 mana, and you're playing against a deck with 4 Wastelands. All right, so there is a Delver. There is also a Ponder. So as you can see, Robert has 3 cards in his right hand and 3 cards in his left hand. The cards in his right hand, that's his hand. Cards in his left hand is he going to stay on top of the deck? Is he going to get shuffled away? We'll find out soon. So it looks like they stayed there. Robert draws and passes the turn. Let's see what Costa has here.
All right, so let's go back. So we do have Delver of Secrets now in play for Robert Orzulak. Costa matches his land drop with the 3rd land drop. He's going to fetch here.
Okay. He's probably going to fetch up a Tundra here.
To get all his colors online.
Yeah, I do see a Swords to Plowshare. I also see a Stoneforge Mystic. I think this is a good time for a Stoneforge Mystic. He's able to play around Daze. Obviously doesn't have to worry about Spell Pierce because he can't target the Stoneforge Mystic. And if Robert wants to force a will, well, he's still going to have to 2-for-1 himself.
All right, so Stoneforge is here for Costa. It looks like it's going to resolve. Costa's going in his deck. The GT is better than the Batterskull here? Or
No, the Batterskull is better.
Batterskull is better than the GT.
Yeah, the Batterskull is just super powerful. So again, I think Jitte is kind of weird because some people say Jitte is like one of the best equipments ever, but in the current metagame, I honestly think Sword and Fire Ice is better than Umezawa's Jitte.
So tell me about that, because it's
because of True
the
Name.
card draw.
I mean, it's the card draw. It's against True Name Nemesis. Sometimes it's more of a clock, but the card draw is very important. Like, Jitte is not very good against Sneak and Show, for example, but Sword and Fire Ice is, because you're able to dig deeper, find more Dazes, find more Spell Pierce, find another Force of Will. So it's 2 different cards. All right. Robert does not flip the Delver, which is kind of interesting here. He's going to go for a Plow. Swords to Plowshare on the Stoneforge Mystic. And Costa's going to fight over this.
All right, so we have a Daze out from Matt Costa. Then a counter war is going to start here. Robert's going to force a will, pitching his own Daze for the Daze. Looks like Costa is going to
lose the battle. Yeah.
Yep.
Lose the counter war here.
But that was a pretty costly battle for Robert. Look, if Costa has some card like True Name Nemesis, Robert's spent almost all his counter magic.
Yeah,
at this
exactly.
point.
Yeah, I mean, for both players, they're just, down on cards. Costa only has 3 cards in his hand right now. He'll draw his 4th card here, and it's a Sculpting Tarn. Pretty good draw.
So there was no attack by Orzulak there.
Yeah, which didn't really make too much sense. I mean, maybe he's worried about a Snapcaster Mage or something. I'm not too sure about this.
Yeah.
There's a Stoneforge Mystic, though, which is very good for Robert.
All right, so he's going to cast Stoneforge Mystic. That's going to get
Batterskull
of his own. So now both players have Batterskulls. Both are on 4 lands, so no one's particularly, they're kind of close to casting them.
Well, I mean, Robert does have that Stoneforge Mystic still in play, so he could just activate it for 2.
Right.
Costa needs to hit a Swords to Plowshare or needs to hit a Lightning Bolt. But even if
Costa
he does...
has a Swords.
Sure, but even if he does and he decides to Swords to Plow that Stoneforge, Robert could just, like you said, play a 5th land and that would be it.
So is the Stoneforge still worth swordsing at this point?
I mean, Costa thinks it is, so I
right.
can't really fault him for it.
All right, this time Costa's going to take 1. He's going to swords the Stoneforge Mystic. That puts Orzulak back up to 17.
Yeah, and the other reason why Costa actually plowed the Stoneforge Mystic there is because Costa has a Spell Pierce, so he actually wants Robert to draw his 5th land, so he's able to Spell Pierce that Batterskull.
Yeah, so Robert does draw the 5th land. Remember, he has Batterskull still in his hand. He has Daze as the last card.
Yep. I'm surprised that Costa didn't Lightning Bolt that Delver, but I guess he's going to definitely Spell Pierce this Batterskull.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe he's just going to bolt it now?
Well, is it possible he's waiting to bolt it until it flips? I mean, it's not really... Is it a threat right now?
I mean, it still deals some damage.
All right, and Costa will do that. So Robert's left with 1 card in his hand. It's Daze.
That's pretty interesting. Robert actually went to go reach for a land like he had Daze in his hand. I don't know if it was a bluff or he actually has Daze. He actually does have Daze, so I wonder if Costa picked up on that tell.
He does.
Yeah.
So both players right now, Costa with Bolt, Daze, Batterskull.
Yeah.
On Robert's side, we have a Daze and Daze Swords and the pair of cards. Both players just drawing right now, and it looks like Costa's going to be the first one to draw into some action as he draws a Ponder.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if Costa picked up on the tell that, I feel Costa doesn't think that was a bluff, and Robert did go reach for a land when Costa played that Lightning Bolt on the Delver. So Costa's going to keep there. He has his own Delver. He'll run out Delver and pass a turn, but I'm sure it's not going to live too much longer.
All right, Delver's run out there. It's going to get a Swords to Plowshares from Robert.
Costa will gain a life. Not that it's too relevant right now. Later in the game, sometimes it is relevant. Sometimes you even have to Swords your own guy.
Yeah, so we see right now, Wasteland takes Costa off of white mana for the time being. He's going to go ahead and crack that Scalding Tarn, though, probably to replace Tundra.
Okay, yeah. Definitely good for Robert because Robert knows that Costa has that Batterskull in hand, so he wants to keep him off 5 mana.
Makes sense. Other than the Batterskull play, how much, do these 4th and 5th lands matter here?
I mean, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It just really depends on what is drawn. Sometimes you want to play around Daze, sometimes you want to play around Spell Pierce.
But for the most part, these players are going to be trying to ponder lands away as opposed to drawing lands.
For the most part. Oh, and there's a True Name Nemesis. Very, very strong for Robert.
Yep, so True Name Nemesis cast.
Costa's gonna have to find something.
Yeah, he doesn't have a main deck answer to that card.
Yeah,
correct?
no main deck answer, no sideboard answer either. So there's not much you could do against a True Name Nemesis.
Right, it has protection from everything that he could do. So you have
Essentially,
to
yeah.
have a non-targeted sweeper,
Yep.
which he doesn't have.
I mean, even Bonfire doesn't kill it. All right.
Because it's damage from the player's
Exactly.
spells,
Yeah.
right? It
yeah.
reduces damage.
You need something like a Marsh Casualties, or a Shrivel. So some effect like that. A Supreme Verdict. Yeah, Engineer's Explosives could kill it. That's
right.
you know,
that's
you have explosives
yep,
for
You
3.
have to have a destroy effect or a minus X, or like a universal minus X effect.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah, something that doesn't use damage.
Okay, so Costa is still debating on what 2 cards are going back from this brainstorm.
Yeah, so because he can't answer the Nemesis, the way Costa plays this game has to change now, right?
Yeah, he has to try to find a different way. Costa is only on 17 life, and he's going on to 16, so he does have 5 or 6 turns.
Right.
Depending on if he uses another Force of Will or uses another sack land.
Well, he could get a Jite working, and then that would give him life gain, right?
I mean, he could get a Jite working, but then if he has a Jite, Robert's just going to leave his True Name Nemesis back to block. So Matt
Right.
Costa's going to need a Delver that's flipped and a Jite.
So you were saying, yeah, this is why I said by a long shot, True Name Nemesis is the most important card.
Well, there's
now we have a race. I was going to say that's probably the best answer is his own True Name Nemesis.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens here.
Both players are on 6 swings.
Yep.
But Robert gets to hit first.
Okay, so Robert draws a Plow. He does have one more card in his hand. I don't know if he realizes that there's a card on the table.
Well, Costa's a little bit of a surprise in this race. Costa does have a Lightning Bolt in hand. So when
Sure.
they get to that last turn, Costa can suddenly pull ahead.
I kind of have a feeling that Robert forgot he had an extra card. Do you see that card on the table right there?
There is a card in the
Yeah,
table
there
in
is a
front
card,
of him.
and it was in his hand before. And now okay, well, he put it down, so hopefully he picks both cards up.
Yeah.
He does.
remembered it's there.
You
He
think
probably
so?
doesn't-
I don't know.
It's a Swords to Plowshares. Maybe he just put it down because it's not relevant now.
Okay, I thought it was the days, but regardless, Robert knows he has it in his hand,
Yeah,
so that's
the
good.
Batter Skull was countered. This time it was countered by Spell Pierce.
Exactly. Oh, there's a
That was Jite for
Jite.
Costa.
Wow.
That's
That is
a
just
hard card to race.
Yeah, I think this is really bad for Robert here. I don't know what he could do.
He's gonna have to
Is
try
it
to counter it.
Desperation Days? I mean, that's not going to really help.
Costa will pay.
Yeah, he'll pay and he'll have 2 mana and still equipped. So that is the combo. That's the Nambo, Wombo, Lombo combo. There it is. All right. So Matt Costa, all of a sudden, we thought he was in trouble. His opponent played a True Name Nemesis, but then he played his own and he followed it up with a Jite.
Yeah, so they don't have an answer to these cards once they're resolved. The game becomes about racing. A second True Name Nemesis joins the battlefield for Roberts.
It's not going to help, though.
Jite's a very hard card to race.
Yeah. I mean, even if he attacks with both True Name Nemesis every turn, he's only dealing 2 damage a turn.
Well, he actually could take 10 damage a turn. He's on a 2-turn clock thanks to Umezawa's Jite.
Yeah, exactly. And Costa still, I believe, has another Force of Will in his hand. Just in case and a Bolt. So this is
He has 2 dazes.
He has 2 days. It's not
2
a Force.
dazes. It's 2 dazes.
Okay. So True Name Nemesis is definitely going to swing in here. I think if I'm Costa, I would probably not even pump. I would just play it safe.
No, he has the Lightning Bolt in his hand. I don't think there's any reason
Oh,
to
wow.
pump.
Another True
And
Name
then,
Nemesis.
all right. Lots of these guys.
So, yeah, so a hand of Daze, Lightning Bolt. And let's see, Robert needs something here. No, and that's it.
Matt
All right,
Costa
so
will
Robert
win the
being a
game.
good sport, shakes Costa's hand, says good game, and Costa pulls it out.
Yeah, so I have some interesting